On my lap today, I've got Magnetic Storm, the successor to Views by Roger Dean and Martin Dean. Now, even though I was growing up in the 70s, I wasn't aware of the artwork of Roger Dean because mainly all the music in our house was from my big sisters, and they weren't into Yes and they weren't into Asia. So I never saw his album artwork. My first exposure to Roger Dean, oddly enough, was a shop near Victoria Railway Station in London, and I can't remember what sort of a shop it was. It must have been a bookshop or a big newsagent. I mean, why else would you go in there? I would have gone in there with my mum. But in there and in the window, it was back in the day when you just went into shops and there were posters to buy, and there were Roger Dean posters, and I hadn't quite seen anything like these designs before with these beautiful colours. I didn't know what I was looking at, and I never bought them. But my abiding memory of Roger Dean's artwork, when I see something like this, it takes me straight back to this shop near the railway station in London. All right. This obviously is the successor to Views, Magnetic Storm, and I've had this book a long time because of one thing in it, which we'll be getting to. So if you've never seen this book, let's have a flick through together. As I say, it's on my lap today because I do not want to destroy the spine, but let's get into it. Now this is there's old Roger, and there's his brother Martin, and what we've got in here is all sorts of things. We've got these fantastic aircraft artwork designs. All right, Roger Dean formed the Paper Tiger publishing group, which put out Views, which I can't remember whether I've got or not. I've got so much stuff. But the opening is going through various publications that Paper Tiger have put out over the years, like so, with collections of many artists, the high quality Dan Dare reprints in the 80s. This book is from the 80s, by the way. So we go through like so, history of Paper Tiger. All right. And then we get to Video Pods and Games. And this is a Martin Dean endeavour. This retreat pod, a pod you could go inside and just chill out, listen to some ambient music. And this is really good. The construction of it. I love the way that they coat it with paper mache to begin with. But look at this. Roger and Martin's airbrush work is something else. All right. This is in the mid-80s or early to mid-80s, the video arcade explosion. So they were designing consoles for video arcades. All right. We're getting onto their set buildings and set designs that they did for all sorts of prog rock bands. This is 1975. God, that must have reeked of fiberglass. Yeah, 1980. More set designs. We're coming up to the reason why I bought this book and why I've kept it for so long. I'm sure I have got Views somewhere because that's a collection of Roger Dean's work. Maybe I'll come back to that another day. But I'm keen to get to the real meat of this video today. Well, that's lovely, isn't it? Okay, we're nearly there. Nearly there. Why don't you have poster shops anymore? The likes of Athena back then. There's the Asia artwork. This is the problem now. I don't have spare wall space to put a poster up if I wanted to. If there was a really nice quality print, I've got nowhere to put it. I've got so many shelves because I've got so much stuff. Every inch of wall space is pretty much taken up. Need to build an extension and have a gallery room. Right, enough of the waffling. Let's get to it. Are you ready? Here he is. This is the reason. The War of the Worlds. Okay. So this was a project that the Magnetic Storm project, it was Roger and Martin. They were bringing in other artists as well. And it's a bit vague what they actually wanted to do with it. I know a lot of these illustrations appeared in Omni magazine back in the day. But I think there was some thought as to there was going to be a high quality coffee table illustrated edition of War of the Worlds, but this was being produced. But of course, Jeff Wayne had come along and I don't know if you can copyright the War of the Worlds. I mean, isn't that in the public domain? But anyway, it was stymied by the success of the Jeff Wayne musical version. So beautiful artwork. I love the fact in these two images of the crash cylinder, you have the as dawn rises, and then during the day, it's exactly the same image. But look at the difference. It's exactly the same image, but that's fantastic. And this is, they're a bit closely spaced together, but this is the Martian cylinders on their way to Earth. All right, and that now we go radical. The text says about, they took inspiration from the George Pal film version of 53, which completely threw out, Wells's description of tripods. Here we do have tripods, but they are far, far, far more organic than anything Wells in his vague descriptions was describing. And here we go. Beautiful line drawings like so. And then even more beautiful artwork. This is at the end. The Martian can just be glimpsed inside the cockpit window, smashed windows, and yeah, the hungry birds pecking and tearing. All right, fabulous colours. Yeah, that's a nice 2-pager of them stalking. I guess that's the Thames. That's the red weed in the fog. That's fabulous. And yeah, that's definitely the Thames and the red weed and the hazy far distance tripod. That's amazing. And then, yeah, then battling the Thunderchild. Is that it? No. Yeah, this is odd. This is odd. I guess, they're excavating a cylinder that had crashed into the Arctic. Why they would crash in the Arctic, I really don't know. The whole point of them landing in England was at that time, take out the most powerful nation in the world, and that's a huge advantage you've got. And again, I'd like to know just what's going on in these, because the text doesn't explain the stories about what's going on, why they're in the Arctic, why they're near icebergs, what's all this about coming ashore. All right, yeah, that's the end of it. But let's go back. What do you make of this then? What do you make of this bird-like, organic look to the tripods? Let us know in the comments section. I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all. As I say, Wells was very vague in his description of the tripods, and people have used that to come up with their own version, and I haven't got a problem with it at all. Although the Pendragon film version, yeah, wasn't too accomplished. So that's it. We just go through more sets and live show things like so. Okay. So this is a little flick through today. Worth picking up if you're a fan of Roger Dean's work and you haven't got this. If you're a fan of War of the Worlds and you haven't got this. If you're interested in set building and science fiction settings, it's worth a go. No idea how much this is worth these days, how cheaply you can pick it up, but lovely book. And that was Magnetic Storm. When you know it, I went to put the book back, and here it is. Views was already on the shelf. So let's have a quick flick through this one as well. Really, I should have done this one first, then that one. So sorry about that. As you can see, this one is more beat up than the Magnetic Storm, and that's because I got this like 10 years before, and I've flicked through it an awful lot. There is one image in here. I kept coming back to this book for one image, and it's the poster, the #1 poster that was up in that shop in London. So much like its successor, it's a variety of subjects. I'm just going to go quickly through this. Really, I just want to show the reason I've thumbed through this for so many years. I mean, quite a lot of different styles and subjects in this. That's really nifty. Love that blue. It's got a touch of the old Ralph Bakshi Lord of the Rings about it, that one. And there's an alternative take on it. Prefer the blue. I think it's coming up. I used to flick through this so often that I kind of like know where its placement is in the book, and it's coming up soon. Again, sorry about any shakiness of the camera, but I've had this book for a very long time, and it's beat up, and I don't want to get it beat up anymore by opening the spine right out. So that's why it's on my lap, and that's why I'm using my mobile phone. Here we go. This is it. I think it's the next page is the reason I used to pore over this book. This image, I love the fact that we've got the thumbnail, and then we've got the line drawing before he went in and started doing it. This is the image, which I'll be showing you in a second. He says in the text that they weren't done for any particular client. It was just done for the fun of it, and it eventually ended up on Motown's Chartbusters Volume 6, with this being on the main cover, and that was the rear cover. Now, when you look at that, do you think Motown? I certainly don't. So I think it's the next page. Next page is the BAM moment, all right? The reason I got this book and the image that I would study. Yep, here we go. Are you ready? BAM. That was on a poster in that London bookshop, whatever it was. And I adored looking at it. It's just such a shame that it's, got a centre spine right in the middle of it, because you don't see it in its glory. But I love this image. This, if it was a print, I'd find space on the wall to frame it. Fantastic image, my favourite. Yeah, and then just have a quick flick through at some of the other collections. So, Startling Octopus. Oh, there's his flying elephants, which he used quite a bit. Yep, there's another one. Again, look, rough, like pencil roughs. Yeah, fabulous book. Some of it I was drawn to more than others. Like that one, the use of colour there. Yeah, some of them more than others. There's an awful lot of fantasy in here, and as you can see, landscapes and things, very trippy stuff, because this is collecting stuff that was around in the mid-70s. So I'm just having a quick flick through. I think that's meant to be Christopher Lee's Dracula, or at least that was the basis. In fact, yes, that cover is for a book I've got devoted to Hammer films. Yeah, some of his album work, etc., etc. So I'll just have a quick skip towards the back. Worth picking up. I don't know. I don't even know if it was reissued. Maybe it was reissued, and actually, that's a point. I never think to see if these books have been reissued. With additional pages. A deluxe edition. It's something I never really think about doing. But there's also, even if I was to get that, this is the one I had when I was like, 17. It's like been my little companion all these years. So it'd be nice to get a deluxe on glossier paper or something and less beat up. But this book and I go a long way back. So there we go. That's today's little offering. The works of the mighty Roger Dean plus Martin.